This is Arthur Burton Morgan. Arthur was born in 1863, June 22nd. He lived with his parents, Beatrice and Lyle Morgan, but then his father, Beatrice, was later arrested in 1874 for larceny. 4 years later, he would be picked up by Dutch van der Linde and Hosea Matthews. A couple of years later, he would marry a woman named Eliza, who worked as a waitress, and would have a son named Isaac, until they both tragically passed away due to a robbery that had killed them both, leaving Arthur to become Dutch's right-hand man. But this documentary is going to be more about the 7 months leading up to his death. Again. 1899. The worst massacre had ever happened, the Blackwater Massacre. The Dutch van der Linde gang tried to rob a bank, but it ended horribly wrong, leading them into the mountains. But then Davy, Callender, and Jenny Kirk later succumbed to their injuries after the robbery. They eventually find shelter and stay there for a while, as it's freezing. Half of them are starving and freezing to death. The gang later finds Kieran? I don't know how to pronounce his name. They later find him, he's an O'Driscoll, and they end up keeping him for information. They then get out of the mountains and go to a place outside the city of Valentine. Horseshoe Overlook is what it's called. The gang this whole time is trying to recover after them being up in the mountains a long time. They also rob a train that is owned by Mr. Cornwall, and Micah gets sent to jail, and Strawberry, so Arthur has to break him out. Arthur and Micah aren't very good friends. Then they are chased out of Valentine. After the gang is chased out of Valentine, they go down to Lemoyne, and Arthur becomes a sheriff in the town, I believe Road Town. They then get in a familiar war with the Braithwaites and the Gray family. They are also inbred families, which is weird. The Braithwaites end up taking Jack Marston away and then giving them to Angelo Bronte. So the gang gets Jack back, and Sean actually dies. He was later shot in the head. The gang goes to Angelo Bronte to take Jack back.
You took your time. Where's your host? Like I said, you took your time. I'm glad to see you. Let's get going.
Then they do a robbery, which just failed and the trolley crashed, and that day Dutch was never the same. They do their second robbery in St. Denis and fail once again. They lost Hosea. They then get on the rooftop and lose another person, which is Lenny. John also gets arrested, and the gang get on a boat and boat to Gorma.
Guess I'm gonna introduce myself to the captain. Give him some of this gold to secure his silence.
After the gang is on the boat, the boat crashes and they land on an island called Gorma, and they have to fight the law there. Javier gets captured, they have to save him, and more things happen. And then an all-out war happens while they're trying to escape Gorma. They then get home and are attacked by more Pinkertons. Later, Arthur Morgan was diagnosed with tuberculosis.
Friend, I don't mean nothing, but you got money? I mean, before I start treating you, because I got a family.
I understand. Here, right there.
Sure. Thank you. Now, what's wrong? I mean, what appear to be the symptoms?
Well, I think you've heard them. Coughing.
Is there any blood?
Sometimes.
Okay, now here. Breathe. Again. Let me see your tongue. Say ah.
What is it?
It's not good news.
I guess that.
You got tuberculosis.
They then rescue John from prison and meet Eagle Flies. A couple of gang members die, and somebody spoke up to Milton, who was a Pinkerton. And who was that person? Micah Bell. So Jim Milton captures Abigail. Arthur goes after her, saves her, kills Jim Milton. Arthur finds about Micah Bell being the traitor, and so on. He was also left to die once by Dutch in an Eagle Flies war. He comes back to the gang. It was a failed robbery. John Martin had fallen. Dutch said he'd go back to save him, but he didn't, so John had to walk with the gun wound. And they all draw their guns to each other. Micah then kills Arthur. Dutch arrives and leaves him to die. Arthur did save John, though. The end. Thank you for actually watching this to the end. I know this was pretty bad. There's probably better content out there for this. Just trying something new, and I'm kind of just doing YouTube for fun. I do have updates on my YouTube channel, on my community. Please subscribe if you want. I don't know if you want to, but it's fun making this. It's awesome learning more about Arthur Morgan. I have played the game, but if you want more, just play the game.